So then, what makes up the bigger picture? So, like I said, it's not just more about the injury itself, it's everything that kind of around the injury. So, we got first of all off the bat, what I'll be talking about in a minute will be emotions. So, obviously, the negative effect that the injury has, how the emotions then change through rehab, and then the emotions of getting back to doing your daily activities or doing your sport. You've got stress, and this is not just obviously stress related to the injury and healing itself, it's also outside stress such as your work, what's going on in your personal home life, etc., etc. So there's all of that that can have an effect. And obviously a big one for many people is sleep, and I think everybody, including me, always wish they could have a little better sleep, but obviously I'm going to go through a little bit of how sleep can affect the healing process and everything else around that. Big factor there. um, Next one is obviously the fact, especially this is obviously for you guys with a sporting background, is that obviously exercise suddenly gets hit quite big with you not being able to play or do your current sports, such as running or hockey or anything like that. But obviously, there's ways around still exercising. You say you've done something to your lower leg. There's something that you can do, obviously, with your torso and obviously your arms, so you can still work out in that side of things. So it's about kind of adapting and molding. But without me getting too much further in the exercise thing now, I'll go on to the last couple of things that make up the bigger picture. So you've got adherence, which is kind of linked to how I work clinic wise, is that as well as doing all the treatments that I can do, from mobilizations, manipulations through to massage, I also like to give a lot of kind of like stretches and exercises. And now, if you're from the non kind of sporting background of what I treat, don't worry about thinking I'm going to get you in the gym doing some mega exercises, or you're going to need to buy some kit for doing it at home. Literally, for the majority of the rehab process, I generally just do bodyweight exercises. So don't start kind of panicking and worrying about what exercise I'm going to get you to do if you're not kind of sporty related. But obviously, if you are from the sporting background, I can really kind of have some fun with the exercises and get you obviously sport specific stuff, so that's good as well. And so obviously, like I said, I got a bit sidetracked there. Adherence wise is basically, I say to you, you can do it. The more you can do the exercises, the better you get, and the quicker you get better. So, what can affect obviously the injury is that some people may be able to do the exercises maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and there may be somebody else that I see who does it once a week. And obviously this means the person who's doing these exercises much more consistently, 4, 5, 6 or even 7 times a week, is going to get a lot better and a lot healthier quicker than the person who does it maybe once a week, or maybe they don't even do it. And trust me, I can soon tell if you if you say you've been doing the exercises religiously, and I can do a couple of tests and work out quite quickly if you've been telling porkies to me or not. So like I said, so adherence, if you're not very good at adhering to the exercises, it doesn't matter, we will get there, but just be warned that it can take a little bit longer. So obviously this is how the adherence kind of makes up the bigger picture for that. And the last couple kind of go hand in hand, outlooks and goals. Now, obviously goals is really important, with like maybe setting daily goals, weekly goals, and then to like a month, or where you want to be in 3 months, hopefully back to sport and back to being able to walk up the stairs, for example, pain free, etc. And obviously outlooks kind of linked in with that, and it's kind of outlooks is kind of linked in with emotions and a few other things as well. But it's just about trying to be positive. And I mean, I always try and promote with clients like almost a stoic approach, and remind yourselves of what you can control, and kind of show you about what things you can't really control, and how it's kind of important to not get et up at all about that. So then that's kind of the breakdown of what I'm going to be discussing over the next few videos. So we'll get into the first topic, which is emotions. So, as it says on the slide, emotional roller coaster. So this is because obviously when the injury happens, it's a sudden change to what you can do in your daily life. So obviously it changes, for example, if you're from the sporting background, it changes what you're going to be doing training wise, what you're going to be doing like matches and races and events like that on the weekends, etc. And obviously this can have a massive and negative on your like mental and emotional state, because it's a massive obviously shift in what you can and can't do. And then there's again, if you're struggling with work and everything, it can get you down in that side of things, and even just like having to walk upstairs, it can be an issue. So obviously it's a massive change, not just for sporting but for daily lives and working, etc., and like bricklaying and stuff like that. So this is how negative it can be first off, and then obviously you can make some positive, good progress, and you can really kind of start getting happier as everything's going on. But then again, what I've seen with a lot of clients is that as you get closer to me kind of like signing you off and saying you can go and do these things I didn't let you do to begin with, or they may have been too painful for you to do anyway, you can kind of get nervous and apprehensive and start worrying then, because you almost want to like guard yourself from moving about and different injuries and kind of re-injuring yourself and that. So it can kind of go like a massive kind of curve as you go from kind of negative to positive as everything's better, and then back to negative. And really I think one of the key things then also is to remember that you can do things that you do day to day can find the hardest, but it's important to kind of keep on seeing the bigger picture, in the fact that I find clients always, you tend to focus no matter what on what you still can't do. So say for example you come to me and say, oh Rob, here's a list of 10 you're not going to do this, but theoretically you're going to come to me with a list of 10 things that say, oh I can't do any of this, and then as the weeks progress we can slowly start ticking things off, and as we get close to the end of getting to maybe the 8th or 9th or even 10th thing to tick off, you still kind of focus on those little things. And I have to keep on hammering home to all my clients to say, look, I know you can't do X and Y, but here we can go through A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Remember, you couldn't do any of this before you came to see me, and now it's just these last couple of things that you can't do. So I always try and have to find the bigger picture, and just to say that day to day you can obviously find the hardest and it can get you down, but if you kind of take a step back and look back at where you were like last week or 2 weeks ago and see the massive progress you can make, really. So, and which brings me on to kind of my final thing, is that everyone obviously wants to progress linearly with the rehab. So this just means you just go kind of upwards in progression in a perfect fashion. And obviously in a perfect world, that would be the case. I'd love for that to happen, but obviously our world is not perfect, and there's always blips and speed bumps in the way. So it's to try and not get too disheartened if you've had, I think the hardest thing really is if you've had a good couple of weeks where everything's been progressing, you've been getting less pain, you've been getting more mobile, you've been able to do more things, and all of a sudden, bang, something happens, and then you dip back down slightly in progression. And I know it's really, really hard, and I've been through it too with some of the injuries I've got, but it's just important to kind of say that these things happen, and sometimes it's actually good that they happen, because it stops you almost from being too cocky and overconfident and then progressing to a point where something then big really does happen. So it's good to get these little roadblocks, stumbling blocks, and it's not the end of the world, because we can always get past them and get through them with my help and all different exercise and everything else. So it's no issues, but it's just basically to remind you that these little things happen, but it's an important part of the healing and the rehab process, and that I will get you there eventually in some sort of fashion and get you back to climbing stairs pain-free or getting to your sport pain-free, etc., etc. So that's really it with me about emotions. So in the next video, like I said at the start of this, I'll be going on to stress and how that can affect your healing process and other things as well. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you've got any comments or any further questions, just drop me a message or a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But for now, that's me over and done with. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.